Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Ordinary Working Joe. Today we're going to talk to Ben and Kerry from Coca Design and Build, local property development company run by these two gentlemen here. They're currently completing the Cowbridge job. Yeah, finishing touches on that. Interior design was in the other week, telling me the grey is over. Yeah, and you were claiming that cupboard was mushroom.
Were you there?
I don't know what that's about. Mushroom's not a colour. Gentlemen, welcome to the Ordinary Working Joe podcast.
Okay, hi. Thanks for having us, Rob. My name's Ben, as you know. My background is actually in sport, professional sport. I was a professional coach as part of the performance team at Bath Rugby Club. And I was there for 7 years, and before that, a year at Harlequins. So I did 2 degrees, sports science, and then a master's in strength conditioning, which was at UWIC in Cardiff. And then, we'll get on to it a bit later, but there was a jump from that to come across to do the job that we do now, the property development company. And that all kind of started when, by chance, I met Kerry.
Good way of putting it, because everything that Ben and I do now is pure chance, because we met each other completely by chance. Ben's wife, Hannah, had taken a role in a company I was doing some work with, and we kind of hit it off immediately. Great friends, got the introduction to Ben. I used to do this as a living back in the day when I was a young man, building houses, construction, that sort of thing, and I was keen to get back into it. And Ben had just left sport, moved to Cardiff with Hannah and a new baby, Hugo. And he was looking for something to do, and that was something that appealed to him as well. So a series of conversations, and the next thing you know, we're on it. Looking at pieces of land and deciding what to build on them.
Great stuff, okay. So question 2, you've sort of strayed into a little bit. How did you arrive at the day where you thought it's time to go it alone and leave the company you were employed at?
Well, that's a difficult question. That's a big question. I don't really know, because I've done this before, so it's not my first time of doing it. For me,
Am I right in thinking you were a builder's merchant at one point?
I did. Yeah. I started off as renovating houses for sale and to rent. And I did a couple of those. And then I went to, one Sunday I was working on one of the houses, and I needed a piece of timber. I know what it was. I needed 6'6" of architrave for a door frame. So there was a builder's merchant in my stag, which was where we were working at that time, that was open on a Sunday. So I went up to see them, and I said, I need 6'6" of architrave. He said, yeah, no problem, I'll cut it for you. And he brings it down, or doorstop, brings it down and gives it to me. And I said, great, how much is that? He said, £6. I said, £6 for a piece of doorstop for a door. He said, well, it's Sunday, where else are you going to get it? I said, you're kidding. So anyway, I gave him the £6 and I bought it. I went back and I said to my brother-in-law, who was working with me at the time, I said, we need to open a builder's merchants, because that is a rip-off. So within 6 months we did. And it was probably one of the best things I ever did. It lasted for sort of 18 years before we got rid of it. And I enjoyed it very much. But it also led to the building. So if you look at the typical sort of valley builders merchants, they always end up building houses and renting houses and renovating houses. That's what they do. And that's how it progressed. So yeah, I've done it before, and I was really keen to get back into the business. From
my side of things, it wasn't so much a choice. Well, it was a choice to go in that direction, but it wasn't a choice to change direction. So, like I said, I worked at Bath Rugby Club, and then COVID came. And if you remember back, there was no gate receipts. We couldn't have any fans for a whole season. Yeah. And all of professional sport is based upon people paying for tickets. Yeah. So the structure at Bath was they had one owner, and he fronted everything. So the rumours were that year was about 13 million or something that the club was losing, aka he was losing. And so literally we'd done all of the COVID, we came back, we're all in the gym doing distant training, masks on, X's on the floor, that rubbish. And we'd been back for about a month, and then one Thursday, everyone in the organisation had a meeting, staying or going basically. And I thought, I'm safe as house. I was basically behind some frontmen. I was basically running the first team program. I thought I'm not being too confident myself, but I'm sounding like I'm running this program. And then tape recorder goes on. I was like, this is a bit tape recorder. And then Stuart Hooper just said, we find your role redundant at the club. So, oh my goodness, after like 8 years, so you do don't bother coming back tomorrow. So it's like, okay. So I literally just left work and never went back. I just drove back. And about a month before that, Hannah had got her new job in Cardiff. So I drove back across the bridge and phoned my wife and said, look, I got no job anymore, which was quite distressing because I'd done the whole kind of traditional graduate route, an undergrad, a master's, an internship, 10 years deep of learning. That was me, my identity. I'm, going into another industry, you've got to do another 10 years of trying to learn to be good enough before you start earning some good money. I had a young kid that was just born. So, oh my goodness, what on earth am I
going to do now?
So that was the unfortunate part. But in actually looking at my life, it's probably one of the best things that's happened to me. So our third director, which I don't think you've met, is Jamie. He's my best friend from school. And he had always been telling me, let's do something on the side, come just a little renovation, little project here and there. And when you're in professional sport, it's very comfortable. It's like a rat where we go Saturday to Saturday, game to game. And I would never have left. I was just in it. And I was kind of saying, yeah, next year, in a month, whatever. And so I had the cut. I was pushed out. And I remember I texted him and I said, look, mate, you know me personally. You know my flaws. You know my persona, you know the job that I did. You know the skill set it kind of requires. But you also know the world, because professional sport is very insular. You're in a blinkered world. It's not normal. I said, what am I good for, basically? And he goes, oh, I'll have a think. And I remember it was about half an hour and I started typing on WhatsApp because he had asked me, what do I think? And I remember literally at the same time, James is typing, I'm typing, and we literally just said, Dudun, how's this property? And I was like, okay. And he goes, come on, I've been saying. I said, okay. But I said, right, if this is it, let's do it on a bigger scale. Let's not just buy a little house, do 30 grand on it, sell it for 50 profit, whatever. Let's go wholesale. So Hannah had obviously met Kerry for about a month and said, look, well, Kerry used to do all this, knows the trade. I didn't know any of the trade.
Yeah.
Still don't know much of it. We've got that technical partnership there. I know the skill sets that I bring from professional sport, being able to manage and organise stuff and be diligent on all the boring stuff. And my friend James, who offers us some extra financial clout as well, we literally just said, let's have a meeting, let's make it work. And so our first meeting was, you snuck out of your office at the time into the car park, in the back of a little car, and we had our first business meeting, and that was it. And that's how it started.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so thinking now sort of the last 4 or 5 years, you are now company directors, co-directors. What sort of lessons have you learned since you first started to where we are today?
Everything is more expensive than is advertised or projected. Everything takes longer. Business isn't charity was one of my big things for Mogmore. So we got into a couple of pickles, which we got ourselves out of, but some hindrances because ultimately charity was at the heart of it. So yeah, it doesn't mean go around being, an arsehole in work, but keep it business. Because if you go too charitable, it's not the right place for it, and it can cause problems for both sides.
Yeah. Because the contractors you had there, they maybe overstated their competence a little bit.
Yeah, I think they did, and again, it's kind of on us because we had seen them do some stuff. But they had done some. Originally, they had the contract to do interior fit outs, the first 3 of the 7 that was done, and they did a good job on it. They came in slightly short of money. They made a slight loss on it, I believe, or break even. So again, this is where the charity comes in. We had sat down and said, look, they've done a good job. We think they're nice guys. Thought they were nice guys. And look, they've just got some costings wrong. Fine. So we had said, look, you've got the other 4 here. You now know what your rate should have been.
Yeah.
Put them to us. They did. That's okay. Run the next 4. But then we also went a step further and said, well, look, you can do the whole interior packages. All you need to do out is subcontract out some groundwork. We had a groundworker, just talk to him. Once you do the groundwork and the shell up, which is a timber frame, which isn't really, you don't have to do much anyway. Well, you're kind of back to doing what you're doing anyway. So why don't you take the whole 4 of the 7, and get some, good bunch for yourself. So that's the charity part.
And take it as a main contractor contract.
Yeah.
And sub out the bits you're not comfortable doing yourselves.
Because
and the technical elements.
Yeah. We should have just said, you've come in a bit short, tough. You obviously can't get your budgets right, whatever. We're going to get someone else in. So yeah, that's probably my biggest thing that I take away from Ogmore is keep charity out of it.
Yeah, and do you feel like you became overly familiar with those guys? You were friends more than you were contractors, property developers relationship?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because, well, Kerry knows I'm a bit of a cold shoulder. I don't make friends too easily. Not
I won't have that said about you at all.
Not
No
because
way.
I'm not likable, believe it or not, but you definitely have to earn my trust. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt to be trustworthy, but until you show me, I'm always a bit skeptical. So I never get to. It was the same in rugby. When you're on the gym floor all the time, lots of the coaches treaded that line where they did get too familiar, and you lose that position of business where I'm the coach, you're the player, I'm the developer, you're my contractor. So
Yeah.
I don't think we did. I just think we gave them more of a leg than they should have had, really.
I agree. I don't think we did, but I'm smiling because I'm thinking that you've seen about yours is not the shoulder to cry on. Ben, having come from that sort of lifestyle, expected that when you say to someone, I'd like that done, and I'd like it done tomorrow by 2:00, is that okay? And they go, yeah, that's okay, 2:00 tomorrow. And then weeks go by and nothing happens, and Ben was like pulling his hair out for the first few months. I don't get this building trade. What's the matter with everyone?
Yeah.
They all say they're going to do it, no one ever does. And that took a long time, didn't it, to get your head round?
Still does.
Yeah, yeah, it still does.
And there's nothing worse than trying to get utility companies to do what they said they would do. Some of the worst people to deal with are those if you're a developer.
The utility companies are probably the worst to deal with. The time it takes just to get the application in, because you have to repeat it several times to get the detail right, and then the timeline from there, and the cost. The cost is ridiculous nowadays on utilities like water and electricity. Water probably the worst actually, and gas. They just charge you for the infrastructure basically, so you end up paying 10 times more than the value of the connection.
Yeah, and what you thought it would have been worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and a QS sit down and say, allocate some money toward that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't factor in the time delays.
It costs more than building a house.
Yeah,
as well.
it can be ridiculous.
It's wild.
Yeah.
One other in terms of the lessons, the other second big lesson from Ogmore as our first project is, again, the context was a bit different because it was our first one. We're unsure whether we was good at it. I had never done it before. It was like a Grand Designs episode. I'm there with all the gear on, all branded up, and there's just all stuff going on. So, geez. But I trusted that I know how to handle information. I just don't know the language. Kerry knows the language, so that's fine. Let all that happen. But we jumped into it and we didn't get the ordering right at Ogmore.
Yeah.
And so because it was part of your first phase, wasn't it? There was some old foundations in the ground, some retaining wall stuff. So we thought, right, we'll inherit that. A good place to start is on these three, and the site went up on a slope. And really what we should have done is started at that end. We could have just made it easier to work back out in terms of gardens and not being able to work and all that type of stuff, and dealing with the mud and doing the earthwork first before the perpetual rain came and all that type of stuff. But because we're unsure, we didn't have all the cash in the world, we thought, well, we'll do the cheapest one, just do the three. If they sell, we'll have a stab at the next four. When really, you should have just been a bit punchier and just say, well, look, at least get all the groundwork done, reduce all the earth, get all the groundwork done, think ahead to make your life a bit easier.
Yeah.
And because we didn't do that, we definitely left.
It cost us.
I think we left over 6 figures on the table. I remember the day we had the trailers come. We had two tractors pulling 18-ton trailers back and forth from just up the road all day. We're there from 6 in the morning, and I think I left at about 7 at night, counting trailers, and each one was 18 tons, and it was about £200 each truck.
Yeah.
So I'm just watching this earth go out, and the hole's just not disappearing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my goodness, that was over 40 grand just getting that away.
Yeah. The fun of muck away contracts because you need to make a space.
Yeah, and because
you've decided to build in the valleys where everything's on a slope.
So there's a lesson. Never build on a hill.
Never build in the valleys. And if now looking back now on your careers, if you could go back and give your younger self some specific advice, what would it be?
It's a long time to think back for you. I would say, and it's easy to say this, and it still is, but press play sooner. Just press play sooner. You're never going to have all the pieces in place to think that it's the perfect time to start. I still don't know everything about building, but that's fine. I know enough to know the people that do. And as long as I know how to deal with people and ask the right questions, I'll have my answers. And as long as I have the answers, I can get the job done.
Yeah.
So you can find a way. There are people out there that do know it. You just need to reach out to them. But if you wait until you think you have everything yourself to be the one-man army or the one-man business, the boat's gone. You know, we could have been doing this a lot sooner. Well, my dad was a builder. Like I could have done it since I was, well, born really. But like I said, when James was saying, let's do something on the side, I said, no, just wait. It's not quite right. Yeah, I need to do this and do that. The time will never be right until you say go, and then just adapt as you go. That's probably the thing I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I mean, I did start fairly early in this game, but yeah, I think you're right. Start as soon as you can, because you'll never get it right. And what do I always famously say when we're doing something? Oh, it'll be all right. Ben's going, we're not sure how we do that. I go, it'll be fine. It'll be all right. And it usually is.
So are you sort of thinking about that then? Sort of, it'll be all right. Is that a consulting thing then? You go there and you speak with your knowledge base that you don't have, and you just get that right information back in, put your ducks back in a row and carry on. Is that what that's about?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you've got earthworks and groundworks that complex, you do need to speak to the right people. But yeah, you know, you take a view on it. And you do. Yeah. If you don't, you'll never get it done.
Yeah, and this is where I think you two are quite good together, because you're happy to wing it, but you want specifics.
Yeah.
And you seem to find sort of some middle ground and just go with that.
Yeah.
We have a great middle ground. So the background in professional sport is everything is science. It's detailed. It's objectified. You can't just say, I'm going to do this, because you then get from the whole coaching staff, why that, how long, when's he back, when's, you know, ex Mr. British Lions player, when's he back playing, and you get pinned to it. And if something goes wrong, you're pulled up, you're chastised, and they have a go at you. You can't just wing stuff. You're having to turn around programs and stuff in a matter of hours, whereas, you know, like we said in the building trade, weeks, months, or whatever, just to get replies from the council, for example. So there is that, but then the way we bounce off each other is you do need that. And I said to you at the start, just because that isn't how this industry works, that's no excuse for me to not try and bring that expectation to it. Why would you turn up and just say, oh, that's how it is, it's how it's going to be? I may not be able to impact it and change it wholesale, but you can guarantee that by being a certain way, you can change it slightly to the better. So I bring that. Kerry brings the other side where, okay, that's great, push that, but just, you know, be aware that your expectations, just manage it, but obviously keep pushing that. It's the same with conflict as well. I'm Mr. Direct, aggressive, just straight at someone. Kerry's more the softer arm, gets the resolution from another tactic. And I think we're quite aware of ourselves. We always joke about it. And there'll be times where sometimes Kerry will say, right, Ben, in you go. Like, do you want it? And there'll be times where I'll be like, Kerr, I've written this email, read it, change it, send it. Because I know that how I've just gone in and done something probably isn't the best way to deliver it. But I know that all the points that need to be touched on will be in it. And Kerry can then help dress those points potentially in a slightly better way. And we just share up tasks, don't we? Which one needs your approach, which one needs my approach, and it works quite well.
Yeah, it's the Jekyll and Hyde approach to running a company.
Who's who?
I think that's clear.
Yeah, we do work quite well together. And again, it's just a sense of being open with yourself. And it kind of goes back to when do you start? If you think you're the all perfect person, one, you'll never get there, and two, if you do think that, you're wrong. I know I have so many flaws, but I have so many strengths, and Kerry will know that he'll have flaws and he'll have lots of strengths, and those two strengths together can get where you need to go.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think sort of being equal partners, you have always got someone to bounce off, and you can exchange ideas and talk about your problems. It's the guys that sort of we've spoken to recently. They were purely one-man bands, if you like. And they've sort of grown the businesses, and now they're employing 20 people, and now they're going to bring in admin staff and everything else to try and control the company, if you like. So yeah, it's a bit more difficult for them to learn. I think you boys will learn faster because you've got each other to play off.
Yeah, there's a big benefit, I think, in having a partner, because you can bounce off each other constantly, and it gives you a little bit more confidence as well in all the things that you're doing, because there's two of you. So I think it kind of works for us. And the fact that we get on really well is also a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. Jekyll and Hyde. Yes, indeed. Is there any sort of specific targets or markets that you want to look at next? Are you going to look at more affluent areas to put your developments in?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, that was the plan not so long ago, that we were looking at the development we're looking at, or were looking at last year, a very very small 3, 4, 5 units, but very high end.
Yeah.
And in places that we'd select very carefully, so you've got really good locations and big demand, hopefully. But we kind of moved away from that altogether, and we're now looking to do more work with the social housing and with the housing associations.
Okay.
And there are a couple of reasons for that. You don't have to worry about selling anything. You don't have to worry about being stuck with units on your hand for any length of time, because you know that it's coming. They pay you in stages as well. And it strikes us as probably a safer and a quicker way to do things.
Yeah, and you haven't got to use your imagination because they give you a spec to work to.
They do, and you also don't have to use your own money so much.
Yeah.
Not to such a great extent anyway, because again, they fund the whole thing. So at the moment, we're in the process of developing a site in Cardiff for a housing association, and that's probably due to kick off in the next sort of 12 months or so. And we're hoping that there'll be a couple of others to do along that. Maybe if the markets come back strongly in a few years, we'll have a look at it again. But at the moment, I think this is probably the way forward for us.
It's a bit more secure for you rather than relying on
Yeah.
what has been for the last couple of years, a fairly volatile property market.
Yeah, and it's a bit flat at the minute. So, we're lucky. The project we got in Cowbridge at the moment, that's we've got several people waiting on each unit there. So, I mean, we're fairly confident we're going to sell that, but that's not always the case.
No.
It's good to have the security of knowing that everything you build is gone.
It's a good area to develop in, though, isn't it, Cowbridge? There's plenty of
It is.
available funds in the area, shall we say.
Plenty of available funds. I even saw you shopping in Waitrose once down there.
No, not me. I can't afford Waitrose. I was only there picking up hair gel.
Like Kerry said, the market, when did it all start? Because when our first project, we caught the back end of that wave, 2019, after COVID, where houses were just going for whatever you were asking for, and people were outbidding each other. And just as we did finish the additional 2 on that 7th and the 9th, 8th and 9th property, we already started to see that the market was slowing. And because we were selling to people realistically within Ogmore Vale, we'd already sold 7. There probably wasn't that many people left looking to buy privately. So we sold them onto a housing association to get around that. And then since then, it's just been a landslide, hasn't it? We had Trust Kwarteng, I think was first, war in Ukraine, all the cost of living stuff, the petrol prices went. There was a point when, remember, we was traveling to Ogmore, and I said, literally, we have to cull the visits now. You go, I go, you go, not 2 at a time, because the petrol had literally doubled overnight. You just
Yeah, but you wouldn't travel in the same bloody vehicle, though, would you?
no, just one. Well, no, we couldn't because I lived in Cardiff and you were living in Ogmore by Sea. Yeah. So we're still having to pretty much drive there anyway. So you may as well.
It's a long detour just to fetch Kerry. Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
We ended up not doing. It was tough, and then since then you've had the Conservatives were wobbling, election coming, there was doubt there. Then Labour got in. Then there was the first budget. Then there's this next budget. It's just been perpetual. Market's not great for private houses. If you're below 350, the agents are saying they're kind of going. If you're above 1 million or so, the properties are going, because at that level you're not really affected by stuff like that. It's more of an annoyance. You've got enough cash in your pocket. Our developments have been in that middle kind of ground, 500 to 800, where realistically most people are leveraging money quite hard to go up, and those people, it's now just becoming definitely more expensive, and so it's flatlined. So we've just, and again, good business model, just pivot. You've got to be flexible to pivot. There's always money in houses. They say safe as houses. It is, but what type of house and where?
Yeah.
So we've just pivoted to the HAs for a while, and if it comes back, we may go back into doing the private stuff, because that is fun. You get to have, you can have your own stamp on stuff, and Cowbridge has been our best project so far in terms of really stamping your own design on it and doing something you're really proud of.
Is that a creativity thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the end product being plush and nice. You think, yeah, great. I love that. It's more exciting. The HA stuff, generic kind of block flats. Yes, there's a sense of, satisfaction for obviously doing a good project, but it's not quite the same as doing something that's bespoke and that you kind of design. So we may go back there, but the market would have to change a bit.
Yeah, that market will dictate that,
Yeah.
and then you'll pivot and be flexible. And
Yeah, well, ideally we'd keep both. We have a social arm going, and we get to cherry pick some nice selective sites that we want to be the kind of poster child for the company.
talking about pivoting, how do you sort of plan and manage that change in the business?
Planning, I don't know if we plan.
Or is everything you do a knee-jerk reaction? I don't see it.
Well, look,
Because
if
you're
you-
a planner.
But if you look at what I just described, there's no way you could have planned that because stuff was happening in front of you. You couldn't have.
You've reacted.
You've reacted, yeah. And I suppose you can then start planning off of your reaction. Well, something's happened, we're going this way. Is it likely to go that way? If it does, we'll go this way. If it doesn't, we'll go that way. And again, we had those chats with the HA, didn't we? When we could start to see stuff slowing, we didn't just jump ship. We still tried to do the private. So we thought, well, if this is going the way it could go, what could we be doing?
Yeah.
And we started.
Oh, so you do plan in options then?
Yeah. We do plan options, but only when the market was great, we didn't plan for any defaults. Because market's great, we got our little criteria for developments that we want to do. We keep going. It was only when some adversity came that you then start thinking, okay, well, what options could present and what solutions could we do for them? So a bit of reactive proactiveness, I suppose, is how we've kind of gone through it.
Ben's right. You have to look at the markets. I mean, when the markets were good, we were planning the next development, a year in advance. We were looking for plots and looking for land and doing those deals. Yeah. So but you've always got to have an open mind as to where that market might go. And I think we saw some early signs a few years ago that it was going to be slower for the next couple of years, and we reacted to that really. Yeah,
and you've done that in shifting from this sort of move up home, if you like.
Yeah.
Sort of people are spending a little bit more money. They want to go up a little bit in value and finish and everything else. And you've gone now into, or you plan on going into the sort of the HA model.
Yeah.
Where they give you the spec and you build to that. Are you doing that with an existing building, or is it something you want to clear a bit of land and start again?
It could be both. We're looking at two. One we've signed up for and we're in, and that's a demolition of an existing building. So effectively, it's a new build. We're certainly involved in the planning on that. The project demands that we do that. We find the land, we sell it to the housing association, and then we help with the design of that. But they'll put in the requirements. We want flats, we want a bungalow, whatever. So we're still pretty much involved. But you're right. It's much more towards the specification that they want, rather than what we think would be nice for that part of Cardiff. For example.
Yeah.
But the second one we're looking at is actually a building at the moment that we may refurbish and develop for them, or most likely we'll demolish again and do another new build on it.
And how long do you think you'll be before you finish Cowbridge?
Probably before Christmas, I'd say. Yeah.
You set these Christmas deadlines for yourself. You did that in Chepstow.
Well, it's a good holiday period. It's nice to finish before Christmas.
It's always nice, yeah. And tell those prospective owners, we'll get you in for Christmas.
The issue there is you hear it all the time, it's council, it's planning, it's planners. Make everything longer than it needs to be.
Yeah.
So, for example, we've got 2 flats basically done in Cowbridge. We've had an open day on them already. The other 2 are relatively far behind, but nothing that can't be done quite quickly to get it up to speed. But it's because it's a listed building. So it's 1200s. The first part's 1200s. And so it's taken all this time for Heritage to basically sign off on what makeup of floor detail they want in that part of the building. We started in January, and only when you met last week?
Yeah.
That long to agree officially that's what your floor makeup can be.
Yeah.
How absurd is that?
Yeah, because
The project started in January. We've done 2 flats.
A listed building, and they want to be able to take their time and get whatever specifications they want out of you.
Yeah, for sure. So to be fair to them on this one, the particular plan in question has actually been really good.
Yeah.
It's just slow. Whereas we've had other planners that have been slow but also awful just to deal with, just atrocious.
And that's going to lead us nicely into the next question, pretty much, which is, how do you manage conflict in the business?
Well, we kind of touched on it earlier. I'm willing to stand in front of someone toe to toe and just have it out, not as in a fight, but in terms of just the stark details. Let's just get to a resolution quickly. And if someone's mucking around, they need to be told about themselves. I'm quite happy to put my hand up and go and do that. Now, as we've both recognised, that isn't always the best way. Sometimes it's useful, other times it's not. So when a problem presents and a conversation needs to be had, we'll have a little chat and say, well, what's the best tack for this? Who needs to, do it? Is it a phone call? Is it a meeting? Is it an email? Who writes the email? Do I get the body of it down, then Kerry finesse it and whatnot? Or does it just need to be something that's a completely different approach and Kerry, just do it from the start? What else would you say?
Kerry's more experienced approach rather than your effort and Jefford approach.
Oh, that's okay.
It's never effing and jeffing. It's just, again, from professional sport. Nothing was necessarily ever right or wrong, but you always had your experiences and you've got, I believe wholeheartedly in this because of da-da-da-da-da-da. And unless you show me da-da-da-da otherwise, I'm not believing you and I think everything else is wrong.
Yeah, you're very fact-based.
Yeah, and you're not having an argument. We just would come around the table and just have very direct conversations because it cuts wasting time. When you fluff around the edges with niceties and politeness and you're not getting your point across, well, they might not know that you feel a certain way or something needs to be done. If you just put your cards out and say, if you're wrong, someone will tell you, and you have to be willing to say, okay. And there's numerous times I'll say that, like, okay, fine. But at least we've got to the answer like that.
Yeah.
You've got there. You've not fluffed around with stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not an effing and jeffing and fighting and all that type of stuff. It's just a direct conversation just to get to the solution as soon as possible.
And you're a bit more, shall we say, touchy-feely to kind of phrase? Yeah. Okay.
Ben's always shocked by the number of people that I know or know me when we go somewhere. And he thinks we're all inbred up here. He thinks we know everyone. But,
He's not far off the truth.
no. But yeah, I am. But to be honest, when going back to your question about conflict, we don't really come across an awful lot of conflict. No. With each other, certainly not. But even with contractors, even with customers, clients, whatever, we're pretty straightforward. So there rarely is a conflict.
Yeah, okay. But you know what contractors can be like?
Absolutely.
Yeah? They can go off and sort of do their own thing.
Yeah.
And then, because you might not see it for a week, you think, well, hang on now, we haven't done that right.
Yeah.
So how would you manage things like that?
Well, when they've really messed up, I just go home and send Ben in. And he sorts it.
And he goes effing and jeffing, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Usually works.
He claims that he doesn't. He claims that he doesn't, but I know it.
Oh, you've seen a particular episode.
I've seen you guys in action,
because
yes.
you was in the meetings with certain people when, but before we got to that point though, there was, giving people the benefit of the doubt and the time to come through. So a separate episode to the incident, but another contractor that we've dealt with in the past, basically has come financially unstuck and months before, Kerry had started to get a sense of something might be awry. So goes and has a quiet chat and just says, look, is everything okay? Like, we can just come forth, let us know what it is, and we can try and find ways around. We've paid out of contract, we've paid in advance for stuff, which is the big no-no. You wait till your architect to sign stuff off. Yeah. We've done that to people before, to show goodwill. And then once you've started giving people the chance to work with you, because it's all about working together. But then if they cross that line and you've offered them chances, well, then you've got no other option, have you? You have to get in certain people like yourself and have those hard chats. And it becomes a bit of a conflict. But sometimes conflict needs to happen because all your other resorts have gone.
And I suppose you do it on a case-by-case basis because we've been in arbitration. And then you've dealt with things yourself and you haven't even had to involve me to sort of mediate more than anything else. I think you're finding... again, the joint approach works well for you. Yeah. Because you can be a lot more direct, and that's in your nature, and you're, like I said earlier, a bit more experienced, and you can work people a little bit more, maybe.
Oh, you're very perceptive, Rob.
Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. It's good fun.
No, it was great. It was brilliant. It was really good. So that's it. Thank you. And that's the end of episode 3. And we'll see you again soon.